To finish up with what we were talking about yesterday about the organization of Congress, today I want to look at a couple of different areas. The first one being caucuses. Now, the biggest caucus that we talked about yesterday starts at the beginning of each congressional term. It is here where members of Congress vote for their party leadership. But throughout the term, we also see little minor caucuses start to convene. Sometimes they are just in one party, sometimes they are bipartisan. These caucuses can be considered to be interest groups, so people within a party that are interested in a particular topic. The most prominent being the Congressional Black Caucus. The Congressional Black Caucus was founded in the 1960s and sought to be a voice of the people for the people of color and vulnerable communities. And one of the founding members is actually a guy from Michigan, Senator John Conyers. But these caucuses kind of help to create legislation and also steer legislation that are of interest to them. Now, when we think of Congress, we think that most of what is done in Congress is done on the House or the Senate floor. But that is untrue. In fact, the most important and vital component of our legislative branch are the congressional committees. Committees are not even mentioned in the Constitution, but have been a fixture in Congress since it first met. The idea is that smaller groups can tackle tough issues and draft more precise laws than an entire House or Senate can. Committees allow for expertise in making moving legislation more manageable. And what we see is that it's also beneficial to representatives and senators because each of them seek particular committee appointments because they arrive in D.C. with specific expertise in an area or are from a state and a district with a high interest in a particular area. Each party is responsible for allocating and helping to decide what committees their members will serve on. The most common type of committee is a standing committee. These are permanent committees and cover a particular subject. Your assignment that is due later today, you know what? The most common type of committee is a standing committee. These types of committees are permanent and cover a particular subject. For example, the House Energy Committee has wide authority over utilities and gasoline. The Committee of Transportation and Infrastructure oversees the creation and maintenance of U.S. highways. Standing committees are chaired by a senior experienced member in the majority party. The vice chair or ranking member is the senior most minor party. The majority party always holds the majority of seats in a committee and therefore controls the flow of legislation. And what we see is based on the proportion of how many Republicans or Democrats control the House or the Senate, that's roughly how committee assignments are allocated. And as I talked about in the previous slide, committees play a vital role in our legislative process. It is there where they can take a particular piece of legislation and really focus on it, research it, and really craft it out. And due to the fact that the number of seats in a committee are based on political parties, a particular political party can do a lot in advancing a particular bill in committee or even killing it. Three prominent examples of standing committees, the first one being the Senate Judiciary Committee. They help to provide oversight of the Department of Justice and agencies under the department's jurisdiction. The Judiciary Committee plays an important role in the consideration of nominations and pending legislation. In the House, you have the House Ways and Means Committee. This is the chief tax writing committee in the House of Representatives. Article 1, Section 7 of the U.S. Constitution declares that all bills for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives. So the Ways and Means is going to be especially vital if we're going to see tax reform come up in the next few months here. And then finally, probably the other most powerful committee is the House Rules Committee, also known as the Traffic Cop, or the Speaker's Committee, because it is the mechanism that the Speaker uses to maintain control on the House floor. The main responsibility of the House Rules Committee is to, when considering legislation, they can put what is known as a special rule, whether it be an open rule or a closed rule on a bill. An open rule allows for open debates, allows for amendments to come in. A closed rule restricts conversation on a particular piece of legislation. But as I said, standing committees play a vital role in our legislative process, and most of the time our representatives in either the House or the Senate are not actually doing work on the House or Senate floor, but instead in doing these standing committees. The final two committees we want to talk about are called joint committees and select committees. Joint committees are established with a narrow jurisdiction or topic focus and normally lack authority to report legislation to either the House or the Senate. Joint committees are made up of members of both the House and the Senate, and the most prominent examples are the Economic, Library, Printing, and Taxation Joint Committees. So made up of experts of the two. Of more importance are considered to be select committees. These are small legislative committees appointed for a special purpose. Probably the most prominent that you would know is the Benghazi Committee or the Watergate Committee. So they're looking at one specific issue and what Congress has to do in order to respond to that particular issue. Gentlemen, real quick, we'll catch back up on Monday. I'm going to push back that Congressional committee assignment to be due on Friday. But your legislative branch quiz must be completed today, Thursday, by 3 p.m. Thanks a lot. Have a good weekend. Good luck to the soccer and the football teams.